Alright, so these are the steps that we're going to take to update the firmware on your radio. First thing we're going to do is download the firmware for our particular radios. The next thing that we want to do is prep the USB drive, depending on the size of the drive. If it's 32 gigs or less, it'll be a lot less work. If it's more than 32 gigs, which is most likely the case, like in my case, I have a 250 gigabyte drive, you want to follow the steps. After you've prepped the USB drive, you want to copy over the firmware onto the USB drive. And then once you've done so, while the car is off or the radio is off, you want to connect the USB drive and then turn on the car and proceed with the next steps. Don't worry, they're automatic. And then the fourth is basically have fun with your new radio. All right, so first thing we're going to do is download the firmware. I do have a link in the description as to where this place is. This is XDA Forums. It's a place where you can get a lot of development software on a lot of Android related devices. So the link is in the description. If not, worst case scenario, it'll be in the comments. So, excuse me, once you go there, you want to scroll down and you can read this on your own if you like. But the purpose right now is what we're going to do is download the firmware. So you want to go into where it says factory firmwares. You want to click show content, and then you want to select the firmware that applies to you. Join is the most popular. I think most likely most of you guys are going to see that and go there and get your latest software there. I think second to that is Tease, and then in my case it's Mekede. So I've already downloaded it, but I'm going to show you what it looks like as far as the website is concerned. So if you click on Mekede software download, you'll see a long list of softwares of all the options that they have. In my case, it was the MS7862. Just in case you guys don't know, 7862 is what most of these radios have. As far back as 2 years ago. After a year ago, then they started like changing it up, but this is the most common one. This is the one that I have, 7862, and then when you see this number at the end, that's the screen size. So in my case, it was a 9-inch screen, so that's what I downloaded. It was about 2 gigabytes. After you've downloaded it, you want to extract it, and then you want to go into the folder itself. And so this is what you're going to see once you've downloaded it. So once you have this ready to go, the next thing we want to do is copy the firmware to the USB drive. Okay, now for a lot of people, you guys have bigger than 32 gigs, right? So let me just show you what you can do to mitigate that. If you are on Windows 10, you want to go into computer management. And I've already have it open, and you want to go into storage, disk management, and you're most likely going to see, as you can see here, it's removable. This is my USB drive. You're going to see one single shot of some file system that is not FAT32. So this one right here in this case is NTFS. What I'm going to do is right click and delete the volume. Okay, now it's going to show unallocated. You want to right click on that, hit new simple volume, and then right at this point, this is where you want to make the adjustment. So in this case, we want something less than or equal to 32 gigabytes. So all I'm going to do is put 33,000 on there and hit next, next, and then where it says file system, oh, actually we have to go less than 33. You want to go into maybe 30,000. Let's see if that lets me. There we go. Yeah, so 30,000 or less. You want to go on to the file system, select FAT32. You can call it whatever you want. I'm just going to leave it as default, new volume, hit next, finish. And now it's going to format a piece of that USB drive into the format that we need. So this is where we're going to copy the contents of our firmware. So you can go ahead and click computer management, close that off. And you want to just copy that content over. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this and return to it once it's done copying. All right, so that took a little bit in my case. So after you've copied the firmware onto the USB drive, what we're gonna do is check the settings as far as the update settings for the firmware. Now, in my case, a lot of people have had mic problems when it comes to CarPlay or Android Auto. Whenever they're making a call, sometimes they can't hear us, and we can hear them clearly, or the mic is just way too low. So I'm going to go ahead and show you something that you can do to mitigate that. If you go back to the website and you scroll down a little bit below the firmware, there's these settings that we can add or modify into one of the files that will help mitigate that. So if you go into the code, you want to add all these or modify these to this setting. So in this case, what we're going to do is hit the edit on the config text, and we're going to make these changes. Now I've already done so, but you want to add mic volume 9.9, mic sensitivity 1, BT mic, which is Bluetooth mic, gain 20, and then BT speaker gain 7. Make those changes, hit save on that. All right, cool. The next thing you want to do real quick is check the update CFG file, and this will solve a lot of headaches. If you want to experiment, you can just erase the settings here and it won't touch your data, apps, or anything. In my case, I'm going to go ahead and wipe the data and the app data cache. So this explains what each one does, but that's under update cfg.txt. And you want to, in my case, I'm going to do the data and the cache. You can do all if you want to do factory reset, or just want to wipe everything, right? And you know what? I may want to do that. If you guys want to experiment, you can go ahead and do so. I'm just going to do wipe data and cache. All right, and hit save. And now you're ready to eject this thumb drive and take it to the car and plug it in. All right, so we're going to proceed from there, and I'll see you in a little bit.